They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
and everything else in between.
And for that, I want to apologize to the LGBTQ community. Let's give them a great big round of applause. We want them to have strength and to sincerely know that we must all do the work to embrace all of God's people and show forth his love to everyone. Amen.
Dear gentle listeners, gays, theys, friends, lovers, and haters. Before Grindr and before PrEP, before the world even knew what the acronym HIV was, there was a time where being queer meant living in the shadow of mysterious illness, and loving out loud often meant mourning in silence. Today, we're going back to 1980s and the 90s. Not for the fashion, though, honey, the looks. And we love a high-waisted denim short. I know some of us in here do. But to talk about a chapter in queer history that has shaped generations. I wasn't there, of course. Probably Daddy Norm was.
I was definitely there.
But the echoes of the AIDS crisis is still felt today. From the policies that ignored us to the lovers, friends, and icons we lost. And yet, through it all, there was love, there was laughter, there was fucking, and there was joy. Joining us today at Daddy and Son is a special guest, friend to the show, Cole. Say hello, Cole.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me today, both of you. I appreciate that.
He's wise, wickedly funny, dashing hair, and a wonderfully seasoned gay madre who lived through the epidemic and came through the other side with a broken heart, battle scars, and maybe a few stories to tell.
Who can say?
So, welcome to today's episode of Daddy and Son. How are you doing today, Norm?
I'm doing very well, and I'm interested in your topic, son.
Well,
I lived through that time.
Today's topic, we're talking about the AIDS crisis. I'm thinking, I have on my notes that I think I want to name today's episode The Greatest Quilt.
Ah, The Greatest Quilt.
The Greatest Quilt.
Do you know, I do remember talking with a friend back in the early 80s who said, I was reading the other day about a disease that there isn't a cure for. That was the very first time I ever heard about it. I hadn't heard of that. I didn't know what it was. I mean, it was probably 81, 82 when I heard this.
Well,
this is history.
We're going to talk about that. How about you, Cole? How was your week? How are you doing?
Let's see.
Haven't seen you since...
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Yeah, the week was good.
Week was good.
I'm onboarding into a new job, which has its challenges.
That's great.
I come home dead exhausted every day. Only today was a day off, which is brilliant. So I hauled ass all the way to Toronto Island, and I was there at 9:30 this morning.
Living your best life.
It was me and the geese, hissing geese, hissing gays and hissing geese. That was the theme for this morning.
On a midsummer Friday, was it busy?
Not until probably 2.
Oh, okay. We like that for you because I know you're an early morning gal.
True. I really don't be bothered by other people at that time of the morning, and especially not boom boxes. But
so you sashayed onto the sand with your pearls and your. Was it beer today? Was it just alkaline water?
Yeah. It was alkaline beer, organic alkaline beer. Free trade organic alkaline beer.
You may be onto something. We shouldn't be giving away too much of the business ideas.
Yes, true enough.
You and me. Yes. We should link after this.
Alkaline,
wink.
Alkaline water.
Wink, wink.
It was alkaline water.
It was alkaline water.
Yeah.
Okay, you were saving your alcohol balance for tonight.
Of course.
Okay, we love that.
Yes.
We love that. So, as I mentioned earlier, this week I want to talk to you, you lovely gentlemen of a particular age about the AIDS crisis. And, you know, before I get started and we jump into today's episode, I just want to maybe go through a few facts for the listeners because, as you know, Norm, 35% of our listeners, according to our Spotify impressions,
Are young.
are between the ages of 18 to 22.
Yeah.
So kids,
They don't know they don't know 9/11 and they don't know the AIDS crisis.
literal kids.
Right.
By the way, I have a question.
What's that?
Oh, yeah.
What are we drinking today?
Right.
Oh, we almost forgot the most important segment of the show.
Well, I didn't.
So today I have shaken for us, not stirred, a cocktail that is called Lavender Legacy. Now, I did mine with a little bit of twist. And Lavender Legacy, basically, it's just a very floral, light beverage. As you see, it's lavender colored. I made the lavender syrup from scratch with real lavender that I took from my balcony. And it's an ode to queerness, the resilience of the community, and a bit of fabulousness to get us through the tough times that we may be talking about today.
It's an amazing drink.
It's just lavender syrup, some Cointreau, fresh lemon juice, and a lot of gin. And
Garnished with a lovely rose, which
garnished
just
with a lovely
puts
rose
it in the
petal.
5-star category.
It's very tasty. I'll give you credit. It's dimensional in flavor.
Oh, look at that!
If this was a Star Trek episode, we'd be going through multiple dimensions right now.
Did you say dimensional?
It was multidimensional in flavor.
I know
multidimensional.
I could look to you for the words.
That's
For
a
the
good
words.
word.
So yeah, it's an ode to the community and what we are discussing today. You know, the color lavender, which represent and what it represents. So yeah, as we get started, I just want to go through some highlights of some highlights and facts of AIDS and HIV. So, just for our gentle listeners who are of a younger age, in 1981, that was when we had the first official case of what would later be known as AIDS, and that was reported amongst gay men in the U.S. They broke it up. Then in 1982, the term AIDS, which for those of you who may not know, AIDS means acquired immune deficiency syndrome, while HIV means human immunodeficiency virus. Two separate things.
But HIV, the word wasn't known early in the 80s?
No, it was not. In fact, in 1983 to 1984, that's when scientists identified HIV and identified it as the virus that caused AIDS.
Okay.
Right? Then in the mid-80s, around 1985 to 1986, the media began labeling it.
Wonderful here.
The media began labeling it as the gay plague. This caused the mass panic, misinformation, and of course, stigma skyrocketed, as you can imagine.
There was an acronym too called GRIDS. I think it's gay-related something or other, GRIDS.
Oh, really?
Yeah, prior to.
You're telling me. Okay, we're going to get to that because you're telling me news now.
That's news to me. I've never heard that word.
In 1987, ACT UP was formed. This is a call to action activism group, and AZT becomes the first treatment drug for HIV. By 1990, the death toll surges to the millions. Public figures like Mike Johnson and Pedro Zamora, they brought visibility to the HIV crisis. And by 1996, highly active antiviral therapy called HAART, HAART, was introduced, transforming HIV into a manageable chronic illness. And by the 2000s, global efforts like PEPFAR and U equals U, which means undetectable equals untransmittable, PrEP, which most of us listening know as pre-exposure prophylaxis. And if you don't know what PrEP is, go ask your doctor. And activist movements have dramatically improved quality of life and reduced transmission rates. However, today, various campaigns, while they have changed narrative, the stigma and disparities still remain. So,
When Magic Johnson, the younger crowd won't know this, but an LA Laker, famous basketball star, when he admitted he had AIDS, that really helped to bring the public around to saying, hey, we got to do something about this. It was really a breakthrough moment. I remember hearing the news, hearing that it was a significant moment in the I guess the realization that the society had a problem that was not just in the gay world.
It's true, because prior to that, we had other celebrities like Elizabeth Taylor, who are really backing sort of HIV related research and trying to fundraise and things like that. But for the mainstream, I agree with Norma on this point. For the mainstream, it was actually Magic Johnson that brought it to the attention that it wasn't just the gays. And really, in the public sphere, no one questioned whether or not Magic Johnson was gay. He was just a straight basketball player that it also impacted. Obviously he was a slut, so, and not that you should shame him for it. It's just he went out and had sex, as we all do.
Well, we assume he was straight, but that never got really vented, did it?
Yeah, no, that was never a topic of discussion in the media. And, but I mean, and so maybe,
I don't think till to this day I've ever heard any rumors.
No,
right.
I haven't either.
Yeah. But I guess maybe that was a benefit, because it wasn't just solely at that point, to Norm's point, a gay-related issue. Yeah. That would become an everybody issue. Yeah. Because if someone as rich as he is and as popular as he is can get HIV, then technically anyone could. And I think, and I think that's how
that was
it came about.
The thought process.
Yeah, and great, but that's a benefit. To Norm's point, that's a benefit. For its time, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's kick off the discussions a little bit deeper. But before we do, let's take it back. Take us all back. Take it way back. What was the vibe like in the late 70s, Norm? And what was it like in the 80s for you, Colston?
Sure.
I know I've seen your 80s night look at the Eagle. You're a regular. The tight shorts, disco shirts, all colors. Set the scene for us.
Well, actually, how about if Norm starts off first? We'll make it chronological.
I don't have much to say about the 70s because I was at school. I wasn't into the gay world until the early 80s, really.
Well, what about this? What was the vibes like just in the at that time?
Well, there was no awareness of any disease in the late 70s, early 80s that I remember. I mean, like I told you, I remember hearing somebody say, hey, there's a disease out there. And I was still kind of dealing with just coming out. So I wasn't kind of clued into a lot of the stuff that was going on. Weird, eh? I mean, there were others that... Remember, I'm in a generation that came out much later on average than the average gay does today. What
about you?
So
what about the 80s for you?
So I'm just trying to think of the context of how I felt at that time. I'm trying to remember how and where I was in terms of age. And so the first thing that comes to mind is...
We'll start with what age you were.
Okay.
What you were wearing.
Okay.
Well, now, that's getting very detailed.
So Le Chateau was what I was wearing.
I missed that story.
Right. Sometimes the 3/4 length rocker t-shirts, 3/4 length sleeve rocker t-shirts. Maybe it said Def Leppard on it. Maybe it said Poison on it. Maybe it said Megadeth on it. That sort of thing.
Are these brands or are these rock bands?
These are rock bands from a different time period.
Oh, I see.
Def Leppard, I recognize. The other two, I don't.
No.
Well, carry on.
Yeah.
That's what I was. Is that a band or a brand?
I think Def Leppard's still on tour today. By the way.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, on tour. So they're bands. They're like hair bands or rock and roll bands.
Yeah,
that is how you hair bands. You could best describe them that way for that time period. Is what they were called because their hair was just outrageous for males at that time.
Oh yes.
You see, when I think of a hair band, I just think of like a bandeau.
Oh yeah,
something you catch your hair up with.
No, I mean, and so to make it relatable to the kids
today,
an
artifact that is long past your time.
Yes, yeah. How dare you? So the hair bands. So to make this relatable to our audience, specifically the under 20 something set, the hair bands today. If you were to say what did the hair look like, you would think that they had drag queen hair. Is how you could best describe it.
Yes, because it was long and shaggy and all over the place. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely outrageous. Yeah. Still not classic drag queen hair in the sense of like pageant hair, but in terms of outrageously wild.
And it's coming back.
Oh, has it?
Well, I see
know
a
the
lot of
mullets are
kids
coming
now
back.
with crazy hair all over the
Yes.
place.
Yeah, true.
The kids
Yeah.
are, well, I've
Right.
seen them a lot in 90s fashion.
Right.
Like just the baggy jeans and
Right.
like oversized clothing
Right.
and the living color style. Like I've seen kids in
Because it's
that.
available,
color.
it's available at Value Village at this point, I guess. So they're picking it up secondhand.
I know, in this economy.
It's all the boomers getting rid of their old clothes.
So, Colston, a
Okay,
question
yes.
for you.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you first heard about AIDS, what were people really saying about it in your circles? Because you grew up in a prairie city or town?
A town.
A prairie town.
Yeah.
And for those listening who are from overseas, the prairies is just what we would call the Midwest here in Canada.
Yeah.
So give us some insight.
Sure. So really not unlike Norm in this respect. You know, in small town prairie land, AIDS was a problem for somewhere else. AIDS was not a problem for my neighborhood, as an example, because there were no gays. I was the closest thing they had to an out gay because, as I said in the previous podcast, I was never in the closet. But because I wasn't having sex, there was no relationship between AIDS or HIV in our community where I grew up in, because there were no other gays and no one was having sex. So that was a city problem, you know, not a rural problem. But it also wasn't discussed because homosexuality wasn't discussed, and as a result, it was a non-conversation, specifically with regard to HIV, because that was a at the time I would say that was a city problem, and even more specifically, it was a New York problem, and even more specifically, it was like a gay problem, but not in terms of our culture at the time. It was foreign to Canada. To back off Norm's point, you know, I mean, I wouldn't have known about the village in Toronto at that point. Now I know differently, but at that time, that was my reference for it. And for the kids today, if this seems out of context, there's a show called Pose. And if you watch the show called Pose, and it was on FX, but you could probably download it from any service or watch it on YouTube. Just to give you context of how AIDS affected certain communities, the show called Pose will give you sort of an updated version of that with people that are current today in media. But circling back to the original question, we didn't really have a great deal of exposure to HIV. It wasn't really until I moved out of Manitoba.
Is that when you moved to Minnesota?
That's right. When I moved to Minnesota in the late 90s, that's when I had more exposure to the world of HIV, because it was just more intersection of people from other places, that sort of thing. And that was an interesting time to navigate, because I don't necessarily think that I was any better at practicing safer sex, if I'm honest. I definitely can I say fucked? I definitely fucked a lot of men who were HIV positive, you know, and didn't use a condom. And then I would always white knuckle it, going to the clinic, waiting for the 2 weeks before the results came back. Always telling myself through and through that I would never have unprotected sex again. Lies. Because I still would do it again anyway. You know, but you would wait the 2 weeks to be like, oh, I wonder if I got it. You know, that sort of thing. But that was just part of the time of the day. Nowadays, we can go order a test online, bring it to your home, do a blood sample, and then, you know, you find out in short order, you know, that sort of thing. So was there a stigma attached?
2 weeks. In the third world, you had to wait like a month. Yeah. In at least, even when I was a small child growing up in Jamaica, it was a month. It was a month that you would have to wait. Yeah. Of course, that has improved now. Right. Where they're doing rapid testing, but you would be blood drawn from your arm, and it would be a month wait.
Got it.
So
they probably shipped it out of the country to get the results. Most likely is what happened.
That's a possibility too. There's a strong possibility for that too. What about you, Norm? Do you remember where you were when you first heard about AIDS?
Well, I remember the conversation, but
you don't know where you were.
Well, it was here in Toronto.
Were you in Ottawa?
No, I was here in Toronto. I mean,
was that before or after Ottawa?
I was living in Toronto after I had been in Ottawa, and I was working here. It was in the early 80s.
Oh, so you were dead in your like late 20s then?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. But the 90s, I mean, you say you sort of discovered the whole thing in the late 90s.
Well, it became real to me in the 90s, to your point. Absolutely, yeah.
Because I'd lost 6, 7, 8 good friends by 95.
Right.
people that would be wonderful friends today.
Mm-hmm.
And you were scared shitless.
Oh, certainly.
I mean, you really. Now, I didn't practice really. I guess a lot of unsafe sex.
He wasn't practicing homosexual.
I wasn't a bottom, and the bottoms came out worse than the tops.
Absolutely. Fact.
So
medical fact.
So
Absolutely.
that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And I guess I was just more careful, and I was lucky. Because I'm sure I had.
Yeah.
I'm sure we all had sex with,
of course,
somebody that was HIV positive.
Yeah.
But as information began to come out, you realize you didn't get it from the toilet seat, and there was a whole lot of that for a while.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was just actually that was going to be my next question. Like, how did people? What was? Because as an example, my reference point for like a big epidemic like this is COVID.
Yeah.
And it means because even at a point, people, I think the World Health Organization, I'm pretty sure it did because I made sure to Google it, and Google AI did confirm that they did say that COVID was actually considered as an STI because of the way it could be transmitted through sex.
True, it could have been.
Right?
That's true.
So it was grouped into that category.
Right.
Now, my thought process, and I guess that's why like orgies and stuff and parties and the bathhouse got closed down during allegedly. During COVID.
That didn't happen.
Allegedly.
I saw lots of people flying in and out of the bathhouse, rest assured. they were coming in and out of the back door. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, back door.
I see what you did there.
Thank you,
I see what you did there. But yeah, my question was going to be like, what did people think it was, or how it was transmitted, or how you caught it? Because when COVID came out back in 2020, there was a lot of misinformation, even from public officials. They were like, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. It's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. What were people saying at the time in the radio or the tube or the telly or whatever people got their news from?
I think
definitely not social media.
I think there was a difference between what the gay community knew and what the rest of the population did. We understood it was transmission of fluids, bodily transmission of fluids. And if you could avoid that, you were okay. So it wasn't.
Where were you getting that information
stopped.
from? Where were you getting that information from?
I want to say GQ magazine.
That's a good question.
I want to say
I would say your doctor.
Not GQ magazine.
There were brochures in the bars and the clubs.
True enough.
I mean, that's where we read. There was a publication there. I forget what it was called. So
Extra was the magazine. At the
Extra.
time.
I mean, we understood
Yeah.
how you could get it.
Right.
But I remember one of the first discussions with a friend in the late 90s saying, "Hey, Norm, have you heard about those cocktails that are coming out now that were, are maybe inhibiting HIV, AIDS?" I thought, "Isn't that great?" And then I, of course, thought about my friends who missed all that.
Is that heart? Or was that
That's probably AZT. Probably.
It was AZT.
Yeah.
Okay.
AZT was the first one, but there were other ones that didn't, that I don't remember the names, but are used today, I guess. Right?
So I think my suspicion is that we got most of our health information at that time based on like the weekly gay periodical magazines. Which have all disappeared since then.
Yes.
Are those like the type of magazines that would have naked men in it?
Yes. Or the telephone ads at the back, and then content in the middle. But they would come out once a week or once a month.
Yeah, I know you pick it up in the bars. You wouldn't
exactly.
It wasn't on beside the Globe and Mail on the street kind of thing.
Actually, I think I read somewhere that Squirt was a product of one of those magazines.
It was
or owned by one of those magazines.
It was Extra.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Extra.
That's how the Lavender Media Corporation makes its money, is off of Squirt. Even though they have the Extra magazine, the bulk of them when it comes from those big marketing signs and also Squirt. That's how they make their money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Lavender Media, it's called. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
But just to piggyback off Norm's point, with regard to your question for Norm was what? I'm not remembering.
Oh no, my question for him was what were people thinking it was at the time?
Gotcha.
And how was it perceived in the media, and what were people thinking it was at first?
Gotcha. So I'll take a bit of that, and I'll bring the Golden Girls into this as well, because they actually did cover this. The
Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls actually covered this.
Yeah,
That's a bit progressive
that was
that
a very
show.
open. That was a wonderful show.
Absolutely.
Oh God, that was a fun show.
It was very cool. So then, two things: how we perceived it, the lesbians that saved us, and the Golden Girls. And we'll try and tie in the Golden Girls and the lesbians into the same thing. So first of all, the perception I think from many people initially was like, I don't want it's the fluids thing, but then not just fluids, also sharing cups or taking. Let's assume that at that time I had HIV. I don't, but let's assume I had at the time, and then someone would not drink out of my cup or would have to wash it or felt like they had to throw it away. If it was an example, if they thought I had HIV. So there was a bit of a thing about fluids as it related to like sharing cups or like surfaces of saliva, that sort of thing. Eventually that went away.
Yeah,
And
because the science said if it's exposed to air, you're okay.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, and I'll bring in the Golden Girls now, because actually this ties directly into an episode of the Golden Girls where Rose, so there was characters in the Golden Girls, and one character's name was Rose. And she was very innocent, played out very innocent and very naive from a northern Minnesota town, living in a more sophisticated Miami. So she had got some kind of mass test result that her cohort, like our work thing or something, she had been given like a blood donation or something like that, which was an issue at the time as well.
Is this Betty White?
Betty White,
Okay,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Rose Nyland, Betty White, her character, was potentially exposed to HIV through either a blood donation or a blood gifting of some kind. So in the episode itself, they covered the fact that there was a stigma that the girls were having about whether or not they could drink out of the same cup. So they actually labeled her coffee cup Rose so that no one else would drink out of it. And it was actually Sophia that did it to make an example of the elderly person who was misunderstanding of what the communicability of HIV was. So it was an example. Blanche, who was the more of the sex positive one. They didn't really, they kind of touched on her a little bit in terms of sexuality. Dorothy was the more academic one. She took her mother aside and said, you can't get HIV by sipping out of Rose's cup. Like, don't be ridiculous. And then Rose felt a degree of ostracism from her peers, which was sort of like the theme of the moment at that particular time in terms of how people considered like the transmissibility of HIV. And that was very helpful at that time for the Golden Girls, which would have been in the late 80s.
Great way to communicate the message, the truth.
Especially to the heterosexual audience.
Absolutely.
Can I share something? Yeah. I saw Blanche, Rue McClanahan, having dinner by herself, what is now Sambuca's, which was then called It Will Come to Me, but it wasn't that then.
It was called It Will Come to Me?
Well, the name will come to me. The name will come to me.
Oh,
but she's sitting in Sambuca's.
Because I was thinking, like, it will cum to me.
No.
It's the case.
You have a one-track mind, honey. But there she was reading. I guess she was in town for a movie shoot or something. Right. And there she was, right in the middle of the gay village.
Of course.
Feeling quite comfortable.
Of course.
And people leaving her alone, understanding she needed some time to herself.
Yeah.
It was really, it's just a great memory.
What a great moment.
And what you shared about that episode, I'd forgotten that, but that's
So it was helpful to help destigmatize, to help destigmatize HIV at that time in terms of its transmissibility alternatives or options, which is basically insignificant.
There was so much ignorance. The problem, the difference between that and COVID is we had instant information in the age of COVID.
Right.
We just didn't in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
They didn't have the way of communicating stuff.
It was moving at a glacial pace.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there are other agendas at play as well. I mean, when you have a multifactorial media bringing in information and outsourcing and sourcing out things, that's not the same as 3 channels. Like in Norm's in my day, there were 3 channels of specifically television media. There was CBC, French and English, CTV, and then Global, what is now Global Today.
Well, and the 3 American or 4 American networks.
Right. So our media consumption was minimized, but also our exposure to it, especially the media part of it, sort of to some degree minimized the information that we got as well. Unless you're a radio listener dinner or whatever the case is. So, but anyway, putting that aside, sometimes how the information channels we had didn't necessarily give us the tools or information that we needed, to do better or to understand the HIV at that particular moment. Sorry, let's continue with your question.
No, I appreciate that, that additional context. But I would like to take a quick break because our drinks are looking a little bit sparse. So we can refresh our drinks and then,
yes.
we can allow the listeners to refresh their drinks as well. And then we'll be right back.
Are we recording yet? I like this on tape.
And we're back. We've been having some good chit chat and jokes off air.
Yes. And some things we can't put on air.
Nothing is off limits. Nothing is just a conversation amongst friends. You got to educate the sons. Right, Daddy?
There's a lot of education to be done.
Lots. So can we talk about sex and dating back then?
Sure.
Because, baby, it's today's giving prep.
Right.
It's giving doxy prep.
Yeah.
It's giving grinder and apps.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk about sex or dating?
And it's just wild out here. Well, dating and sex, one can lead to the next.
I'm being deliberately facetious.
No, but you're right, because there's two separate things. They're two separate things. They are.
Yeah.
But I want to know, how did the crisis affect the way in which you dated? You kind of touched on that earlier, like in the late 90s for the mid 90s for you.
Yeah.
And you said you were practically asexual.
Well, it wasn't.
Was it because of the AIDS crisis? Did you even affect how you flirted?
I didn't really come out until the very early 81, 82, 83. So, yeah, I had a little bit of fun before then. But did the AIDS crisis affect my sexual life?
Define fun for the children. Define fun for the kids. Have a little bit of fun. What does that mean?
Taking your clothes off.
Oh.
And not before you go to bed.
What is this, Downton Abbey? Colston?
Yes, honey.
How did this affect your dating life?
I don't
or
actually,
even your sex life?
So I think if I think about how HIV has affected my sex life, I would probably say I don't know that I remained any more
in context of the time, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know that I was any more or less cautious unless someone openly told me they had HIV. And
right on.
Sometimes I even ignored that in terms of my sex activity with regard to giving oral, which was maybe sometimes questionable as to whether or not that was an opportunity for transmission of HIV, because at that time, to an earlier point, there was a question with some people had about whether or not that was an opportunity for HIV transmission, just simple oral sex, and there was differing opinions on that at the moment, to give credit to our conversation. So my dating was massaged in this way. If someone had indicated they had seroconverted to HIV, strong chance that I genuinely did not have sex with them. With a few outliers, which I absolutely did, fully knowing that they were HIV positive and still fucking them anyway.
But you negotiated that ahead of time.
I did.
Yeah.
Because at that time, but here's the thing, having an open dialogue about it was somehow a little bit easier at that point for most gays.
Well, it was more important to do that then.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not. And the other thing is, if someone said they're HIV positive, I'd be just well, are you good with just cuddling? Are you good with just big spooning? So it's not like I told them, fuck off, get out of the room. I would have more likely said, hey, you're positive. I don't really know what the fuck is going on. But, if you want to fuck around, that's perfectly fine. That sort of thing. Within the limit of what we thought was reasonable at the time. For transmission.
Reasonable.
So maybe it was just oral sex as an example. Maybe it was 69ing in oral sex. Maybe it wasn't full on penetration. Well, to be honest, that did happen too, even if they were knowingly positive.
Was it penetration but pulling up before coming?
No,
it wasn't foolishness.
Wouldn't have mattered,
that.
honey.
It wouldn't have mattered. Yeah.
No.
Once you're in, you're in.
Yeah, once the fluids are out, they're
Yeah. So
No, I'm just trying to figure out what the logic was.
Right.
Because you said like whatever the parameters or the boundaries that person. So I'm just like what like I'm trying to figure like what would be like a boundary for someone or a parameter for you.
Right. So I think for me, generally the boundary was if someone told me that they had seroconverted to HIV, generally speaking, anal was off the table.
Yeah.
You know, that said, we did other things because we're not looking for creativity
Because it wasn't
or energy.
Because the information at the time was you couldn't get it, probably couldn't get it any other way other than penetration and fluid transmission.
Yeah, Norm's right. That's exactly what I would have used.
The irony is for me, and I'm not off that time, but the irony for me is when I was a teenager, if somebody told me that and I think it's because the person that I first had sex with, who I've spoken about on this podcast in earlier seasons, was HIV positive and told me that they were HIV positive and they were on like the old school antiretrovirals. I remember we were having a date one night and they were like shivering and like cold sweats. And they admitted to me the following day why they were, because they were starting to take their antiretrovirals. So for me, because that was my first experience with intercourse, anytime someone told me they were positive, I took that as, okay, this is somebody who knows their status and they're doing something about it. So that's the type of person that I would bust open for.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
If that was my logic. I don't know if it makes sense.
Right.
I don't know.
Bust open for? Is that what you said? I'm trying to understand whether that was a yes or a no.
It's a young people term for like, spreading the legs.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And you thought correct.
Yes.
So you talked about people who you knew who didn't make it, Norm. What about you, Colston? How do you know anybody who didn't make it, and how do you carry them in your heart today? How do you celebrate them?
Got it. So here's the difficulty. So people would come out to me having HIV, and then we would still continue. We would have like a very hard bonding moment, so it felt as human as possible, and that particular very exposed moment. In general, most people, as I move, I've lost track of them. Because so I move as we all have. We all move around.
Yeah.
And then sometimes this is prior to Facebook, where you could still keep in touch with people, where you really just only had their telephone numbers. So let's assume the dozen people that I know, roughly a dozen people I know that came out to me with HIV, as an example. There are very few that are still in my life at this point.
Right.
I go and visit them when I'm in America. Because we keep in touch. Because
And they're all still alive.
Well, I don't know. Because in my moving around, I've lost track of people.
You lose touch with people, especially in the States.
So I don't know.
And even with Facebook, you still can't find people.
Right. So to me, the answer is, how about this? Of the dozen people who came out to me with their status, I have 3 people now that I still keep in touch with. Because we were bonded in blood at a certain point in undergrad where it's like ride or die, so I keep in touch with them as an example. So that I can say that generally speaking, they're doing well. They're having age-appropriate problems, lack of collagen, hip and knee replacement. Like they're like struggling with aging, like drinking. That's.
Do you feel seen or attacked, Nora? That's the thing.
I've recovered from my hip replacement, but I do want to comment on this when you're done.
Yeah, sure. So for me, they are now having the life issues unrelated to their HIV status. They're having issues as it relates to aging bodies going through the decades. And HIV is kind of like a baseline of their health that they take care of, but in some respects, no different than diabetes, high blood pressure.
Yes.
Or any other thing where the stigma is now gone. Now it's just what it always truly was, a health issue.
Yeah, it wasn't a death sentence.
Right.
And you asked about how do I feel about my friends I lost. I'm devastated. I still grieve the loss of these friends. And I'll tell you, in several cases, especially the American friends, I didn't know they even had HIV. I knew one of them was sick.
So when did you find out, or how did you find out?
After they were gone. Partly because, remember in the mid-90s, what did you have? We barely had email then. So how are you communicating? Phone? Or there was a bit of a stigma. I didn't want you to know. I got the feeling they didn't want me to know they were sick.
Right, because then that would like lead to them being treated like Rose amongst their peers.
Right, Rose Island. Yeah. That was the fear, right? Even
By
if it
the
wasn't
way,
true,
that's
yeah.
why there's a rose petal in the drink today.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I'm buying what you're selling.
I planned that.
Very appropriate.
I planned that, just so you know.
That stigma isn't quite there today, is it? I mean,
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. But just take us back to that decade. The people that the previous generation got the least stigma from was the lesbians of Norm's generation.
Really?
Absolutely. The people that were most supportive of the queer men of that time, because the way I feel like today's gays and lesbians don't have a lot of alliances with one another. I feel like there's more of like a rough edge between us. Not that I'm upset by that, honestly, even in my own practice, because I need to have more dykes in my life, and I say that affectionately, dykes in my life, because
I have zero dykes in my life.
Well, this is the thing, right? Like for your generation, having been wiped out by HIV,
That
a
I know
lot
of.
of the caregivers ended up being their queer sisters, like their lesbian friends.
Wow.
Because by and large, lesbians were unaffected by HIV. By
Yeah.
and large,
True.
You can't
for
get
that
it by
time.
scissoring.
Yeah, fluid exchange, right? And really, we should have done a study at that point to say fluid exchange is clearly not a problem because lesbians are not being affected at the same rate of with HIV, as an example. So they were. This is just a blanket statement about lesbians at the time. They were actually, especially if they were involved in the medical field, they were the primary support for gay men at that time, especially helping them out, of this particular realm and going back to source. So I give credit to the women of that time, and as I've said in a previous podcast,
I did not know
if there's a dyke around who is like Norm's age, and we're just sitting around the bar, like I will buy that hoe a drink, because I
You
don't know
have
that she's
said that
responsible,
before, yeah.
For being helpful to my
Yeah.
previous generation, but I actually don't care. I feel like that Norm's generation of women, especially, did not get a break. They were either invisible or ostracized. And that is a little bit. I can't make that correction for society, but I can definitely give a moment where I'd be like, thank you for what you did for us. In the exact same way that we say, thank you to our military service for serving us. In the exact
Yes,
same
for
way
veterans,
that, to me, it's just like you paid for it and give gratitude. Even if they weren't directly responsible, it was their cohort that did something not for me specifically, or Alex specifically, or even Norm specifically, but for our four generation prior to that. And that's perfectly fine. It's a goddamn pint.
Here.
It's easy.
No, we salute our veterans, and we should buy lesbians a drink.
I think so.
Absolutely,
Yes.
especially our lesbians of a particular age.
I think so,
And it's
yeah.
ironic because my next question was actually going to be around chosen family and how it affected it. But you've basically answered that for me, and I am surprised that a crisis like this. And again, my only point of reference for this is COVID.
Yeah, finish
So
your point. You're
COVID-
surprised at what?
It surprisingly brought people together, whether it was, through going for long walks, made people more athletic, pots and pans,
Pots and pans?
During COVID.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
COVID.
We're doing COVID.
Yeah,
Yes.
not the
doctors
80s.
and nurses.
Oh, I
yeah.
get so tired of hearing that, though. But anyway.
And so, for me, again, my point of reference to what this would align with.
Yeah.
And so, for me, I'm a little bit shocked that this did not bring a lot more people
Together?
Yeah. Especially your chosen family, whether that was between, and in this case, between us, we're talking about chosen family between a gaggle of gays, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying that people would just fall off the radar, or people, in your case, Norm, people wouldn't even tell you that they were HIV positive. You wouldn't find out until they've perished. And you were telling me that folks would just, dissipate.
You kept
go
it closer.
into nothingness.
You kept it closer to your circle. I think that was the thing. I mean, they obviously, the people who were ill knew in their own circles, and the people around them knew. But no,
Yeah.
it's funny. We're bringing back a lot of memories with this discussion. It was a hard time. It really was a grieving time. It was often grieving.
I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not like making this painful for you. That's why I made a lovely cherry drink.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But here's the reason. remember, in the old days, and I'll say the early 80s, there was a stigma about still being gay.
Yeah.
There's a stigma about having a disease because I'll tell you, when I played for a hockey team in the early 80s, there was a joke going around the dressing room one night. How do you convince your, oh God, I'm going to
This must be Downton Abbey because he's calling it dressing room, not locker room, dressing room.
I'm going to blow the joke. I better not go there because I can't remember what it was. How do you convince your, no, I forgot it.
Is this the hot yoga drug from
It was,
Philadelphia?
how do you convince them well, you were either gay or you were Haitian if you had AIDS. That was the joke.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that's right. Haiti did have a stigma attached to it. Yeah, it's true. I forgot about that.
And so if you said you had AIDS, how did you convince them you were gay? You said you were Haitian. But anyway, that's so. And the other thing is there wasn't a way to communicate like there is today. Information is all out there.
Yeah.
So we were kind of in a closet, literally.
Yeah.
2 closets.
Easily 2. Absolutely. Yeah.
Double closeted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Climb out to that one.
Yeah. We come out later. I'm pointing at Norm when I say that now.
No.
It came out later.
But it makes physical and logical and psychological sense.
Yeah, that's why I'm pointing it out. Absolutely.
It makes sense. You had so many doors to climb and windows to climb through.
I never thought of it that way.
Whereas I did not have that stigma. Like I said, I was never in the closet.
And I left a little broken glass behind me. What'd you say?
We just gave you pause.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's some broken glass behind me, let me tell you.
Is that the glass ceiling shattering before us? But anyway, so we're just going to chosen family. I think chosen family was at the time probably knew what was happening, but kept it, to Norm's point, kept it tight. Didn't involve other people in it, especially a biological family, because the people were fearful of losing their biological family in a way that they weren't necessarily fearful of losing their chosen family because they chose to have them in their life. They probably chose people who were open-minded. They probably chose people in the medical field. They probably chose people who already understood the environment that they were in a way that the biological family possibly couldn't understand.
And they were afraid of the stigma.
Well, from their biological family, I'm certain. But I mean, look, I don't have chosen family that's homophobic as an example.
No, you're right. From their biological family, they'd feel a stigma.
Oh, of course
because it wasn't often accepted.
Absolutely, yeah. So,
but not from their peers.
I don't. Well, here's
Less
the thing.
so.
I can't. To Norm's point, less so. Look, we're sitting around here as a
less so means so there was some stigma, but just less of it.
Less stigma.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're all in the same boat. In the exact same way that we're all queer men here today, there's certain understandings that we all have as queer men that would take other people. We'd have to explain to them what it is we're talking about.
It could have been us, quote unquote.
True.
Well, before I move on to my next topic, one of the things, it just reminds me of something. Of a guy I usually date. We met at that one time at summer camp. I'll call him Sergi.
I gotcha.
And Sergi was still in the closet to his family, even though he was in his 40s when we were dating. And the thing about Sergi that made me break up with him was because I just kind of felt, and maybe now, especially listening to this, having this conversation, thinking back on it, maybe I could have been a little bit gentler in my thought process or decisions. But I just felt like if you're in your 40s and you're still in the closet about something that is so fundamental to your personality and who you are in this day and age, then what will stop you from lying to me? And he was a big family guy, right?
Right.
So this did bother me, and I broke up with him over it.
Right.
But I remember him telling me one time that he and his brother were playing, and his dad, his brother did something, and he kissed Sergi on the cheek, just cute brotherly love.
Of course, yeah.
And his dad beat his brother, beat him, and said, "Don't do that. Do you want to die of AIDS?" Implying that he was going to turn gay.
Got it. I gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that speaks to the ignorance of the day, right?
Yeah.
Not so long ago, by the way.
Ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance of the day.
And so I can definitely understand how even directly from family, that can shatter someone. And now I'm looking back or thinking back on it. Granted, this was years ago now. I do have some sympathy. I do have some.
Yeah.
Because I've had my own struggles, and I'm not staying in the closet for nobody. Nobody at all.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like looking back, I could have been a little bit more sympathetic.
Well, it's great when you have the hindsight and the wisdom of the years since a certain point. Like whatever decision we made at like X time, great. We had that particular mindset that we said, okay, this is the line where I draw, and this is what I'm going to say, and cauterize it or end it or whatever the case is. And it's great that you have years past that where there's a softening of the edges. There's a great understanding of someone else's experience.
Yeah,
where you can
part of growing.
where you can reflect on it and go, oh, I could have done differently.
Yeah.
And so, but that's for me. That's not the issue. For me, the issue is like that's done. But what you do with that going forward in terms of how you soften edges differently now is your takeaway. Like if approach with the same kind of topic again, the idea is now would be like using that same set of lenses, like I'm pretending it like I'm in the optician where they're doing the lens flick to see your best vision. Like that, those are the set of lenses you want to go forward with the softened edges, not necessarily changing your answer, but just with a different set of empathies.
Empathy.
A different set of them.
And that comes with getting older.
Oh, certainly. I hope so. I certainly hope so.
We'll support you.
Yeah.
Well, moving on. Colston, did you take part in any form of activism back in your day? Like
What did you ask him?
2000? Did you take part in any form of activism? I didn't ask you because I don't think you did. I don't think you would.
Well, I was active,
I mean, you're a
but I wasn't an
conservative,
activist.
honey. You're a conservative.
I was active, but not an activist. How's that?
I feel like the suffix changed instead of the meaning at the same time.
I was busy with my church and my career. I had other things to do. I was an active person.
But that counts. Like it doesn't. It could have been something like ACT UP. That could have been. Is the ACT UP only in the U.S.?
I don't remember ACT UP chapter in Canada. There may have been one, but I don't remember there being one.
Okay, so it could be something similar to ACT UP. It could be marches, mobilizing,
right,
church.
Right.
What were you doing at that? Coming off the heels of that time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I'm Canadian, but I went to the U.S. for my education.
Correct.
I felt very liberated to do exactly whatever the fuck I wanted, which included every AIDS walk. I was in it, and in fact, it's still possible. And they spelled my name wrong in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune at the time.
Shame on them.
Just for the record,
Shame on them.
Right? So I laugh because for years I would do a Google search for myself.
In your name?
No, they changed my last name. They changed it from a second D to a B.
Oh my God!
There was like Dubar, and so I laughed because for years the only search result you could find for me was in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and me with the pair of pom poms, and the subtitle was something akin to like cheerleaders preventing HIV, and I had this little kick and my pom poms in the air. It was so cute. It was for me and my friend Eric Martin. God love him.
Well, how would they find you if your name was spelled wrong?
Oh no! So the reporter asked me.
The
for my
reporter
name
would have probably asked them
after they took the photograph, so to consent. Like to being in the paper, right? So of course I gave my name.
What was the
Okay,
vibe like?
was
Was it like rage and glitter? Maybe both. Why not both?
There was no rage. Because it's a parade, right? It was like a celebration thing where people showed up. Oh no, it certainly was fun. But year on year, we would do like basically the AIDS March is what it was called.
The Americans were always more out about things in public about stuff
true.
first.
Yeah, they are shameless. Whether it's guns or ego or flags or
that's
spray
what
cans,
I like
they
that
are
about
shameless as it
Americans.
relates to these things. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What about you, Norm? Were you more like a support the gays, or were you more like a sidelines and cocktail queen?
Well, look, I mean,
I'm looking.
I had a couple of friends that were ill in the 90s, and I spent time with them. I mean, my energy was more focused on particular people. But for the large part, I just kind of, this was sort of something going on around me that I didn't have a lot of control over. And I hoped they would fix it one day. And I hope I'd stay the hell away from a direct hit. It was kind of like a war.
I mean, I still do look at COVID as a war, a biological warfare. Yeah, you're not wrong.
COVID? Come on, COVID's all done.
Girl, No.
I think of it
You're
as
not
all
going to
done.
dismiss COVID stole the best years of my life. COVID stole my mid to end of my 20s. And now when I go to a gay bar, some of the kids have the nerve to call me daddy. COVID stole. Imagine there are kids, there are children today who were born and are now going to high school. They have no concept of going to kindergarten, going to grade school. They're kids who have no concept. Remember, I told you about, you remember, let's call him Sir Richard.
Okay. Oh, sure.
Who, his daughter
Yeah.
never experienced high school.
Yeah. True.
Never experienced. There are kids who never experienced high school because
of
they
COVID.
They were
Virtual high school.
They were a part of that class
Yeah.
of kids that went from elementary to high school during COVID time and never experienced high school because by the end of lockdown, they were graduating. So yes, COVID is my litmus test or my comparison to the AIDS epidemic. While it's not the same, but the impact.
Well,
I'm sure the
difference-
22s and 18 and 19-year-olds listening today will be like, yes, Alex, yes, they have their fists up in the air being like, preach, bitch, preach.
Well, let me just tell you, you weren't dealing with life and death at COVID most of the time.
I don't know if I'd say that.
I'm not sure because in the early days of COVID,
The early days you were.
the very first round that filled our hospitals, I would suggest that particular time.
That was scary.
That to me,
Yeah, that's true.
that would be an equivalency for that particular period.
You're right. I can remember feeling great relief at getting a vaccine? The first vaccination in March of 21. I'm thinking, wow.
Yeah.
Actually, so that's a good segue. Did you know, because that was actually going to be my next point, did you know that the COVID vaccine was built off the research of HIV and AIDS?
I did.
I think I'd heard that. Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
And maybe the research was done then and being done now is getting ready for the next whatever is coming.
Well,
God
who
knows.
can say? But, you both have lost people or known people that you have lost. Do you know what the AIDS Memorial Quilt is?
I do.
Tell me about it.
It's roughly 54 tons at this point, and it's housed by the Library of Congress in the American Folk Life Center of the Library of Congress, and also in San Francisco as well. And it is a building memory of people lost to AIDS. From a celebrity standpoint, Sylvester, who was one of my personal heroes. Sylvester is
great
70s
music.
disco.
Great
icon.
music. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay,
let me
I have
find
failed as a mother if I haven't shown you who Sylvester is.
You're gonna have to
Black Queen, disco, iconic, that sort of thing.
Hot dance music.
True enough. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
When Norma says hot, you know it's.
There we go. Yeah. Well, in fact, if Norm played the song, you would know who it was, honestly. And the other patch on the AIDS quilt, amongst the many that have put together, is Freddie Mercury. Both another gay icon, to be sure. And in both cases, the music artists today, their residuals when their music is paid and played, both go to AIDS foundations or AIDS support foundations in their community. So Sylvester, San Francisco, if a Sylvester song gets played, the residuals go to an AIDS foundation in San Francisco. Freddie Mercury was notorious for lots of things he played. That's the one. Lots of his music was charitable donations. So, but the AIDS quilt in and of itself is basically a collection of people who put patches of quilts together in memory of people lost, to AIDS.
Did you ever participate in that process?
It was never in a city where I lived.
What about you?
What about me in terms of...
Did you ever do an AIDS quilt?
No.
I think my first time ever involved with AIDS quilt was when I sat on the board of Black Cap. That stands for the Black Coalition for AIDS Prevention.
I remember that.
And when I was on the board, because they do it annually, all the people who died that were members of the organization, they would do a quilt and then submit it to the memorial so that it can be added.
Right.
And it's for kids who may not know what it is, it's a living art project.
That's
it's still ongoing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if you're a part of an organization who participates in it, you can still get your quilt for your loved one who died of AIDS submitted to the AIDS Memorial Quilt.
And if you need a visual for this, you can do a quick search, AIDS Quilt Washington Memorial, because in Washington, D.C. is often where they'll lay it out end to end to end, and it covers nearly the whole amount of the Washington Memorial pool area. Mall, thank you, the mall. Yeah. Yes, if you need a visual.
As long as the Republicans don't turf it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
I would not be surprised.
move it to California.
Might as well. It's safe space.
Yes, exactly.
Safe space.
Anyway, but sorry, back to your thing.
No, that's pretty much it. I just want to know, what was one of the funniest things that happened during that time that you remember that reminded you that there was still joy in the world?
All right, so I miss one of my top 12. His name is I'll say his name. I don't know if he's
Top
still
12, not even the top 10.
One of my top 12, people who came out to me with their HIV status. It was 3 a.m, bitches calling. At that point, I had a Nokia candy bar phone. The charge lasted 36 days, as an example. So his name is Koray. He's probably in San Francisco now, probably still living, fabulous, beautiful,
Shout out,
beautiful
Koray.
Turkish man, just beyond gorgeous. So he comes to me and he's very upset. He's just told me that his boyfriend gave him AIDS, that kind of his HIV, that sort of thing.
Geez.
So we're on the couch spooning. And a moment of in a glimpse of him being totally upset, he turns to me, he's like, bitch, are you gonna take me out if it gets really bad? I'm like, as you wish, Aladdin, making fun of him being Turkish. And so that was the moment we both kind of cracked the moment, because I obviously was being racist, and I called him Aladdin, said, if you want to take me with your carpet, Aladdin, I will take you out if that's what you want, and so that was my haha moment with
A
Koray.
magic carpet quilt.
Right. So Koray, if you're hearing this, I still think about you. I'm the fabulous, beautiful man that you are.
What about you, Norm? Any funny moments that you remember having during that time that just brought joy to your
I
life?
can't think of one right offhand.
No.
It was not a fun time.
Sad for you.
Yeah.
Couldn't find
I
no
guess it
joy.
was.
Well-
I'll think of something later, though.
If you can give young people one advice, then what would it be?
With respect to
With respect to the times and what you remember of the times then, and what what you know now about HIV and AIDS, and what advice would you give to the youngsters or the sons that are listening? Because this episode is mostly for us.
I would say pay attention to what's in your heart. That's where you're going to get the guidance for what you should do, and don't sift the bullshit. I don't know. What would you say,
What would you say, Colson?
Okay, so I feel like I don't understand young people's world at this point. I understand that they have access to AI. I understand they have access to all the health information. They may not be in an environment where they can talk to the health practitioner comfortably about things like HIV, because I'm not going to assume that everyone lives in an urban setting, because I think about myself as a kid. My doctor would have been just like, what the fuck is HIV? Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess in my mind,
No, there's still doctors in the urban area that doesn't even know what PrEP means.
that's fair
You
too.
and I have been to the
That's true,
hospital and we've spoken to doctors,
Yeah.
and they don't know what PrEP is.
yeah.
I've had that even in downtown Toronto.
Got
Yeah.
it. So I guess in my case, I'm going to assume that I'm in my early teens and I'm sexually coming of age, and I'm coming of age in a world which is not authentic. And by that I mean the photos are doctored. By that I mean the people are ghosting one another. By that I mean that you cannot always genuinely believe who it is you're talking to. So I would offer a degree of caution as it relates to sexuality and the practice of it at this particular stage for the demographic that we're talking to. first thing I would want you to do, because now I'm being all maternal on you, by the way. First thing I want you to do is to understand from a medical point what it is that you need to ensure that you are safe. Maybe that means that you get on PrEP. Maybe that means that you get on Descovy. Maybe it means you only use condoms. Maybe that means that you be mindful of how you manage your sexuality in terms of like your exposure to other people.
Or abstain.
Abstain. I've never thought abstaining was a good idea. I think that denies our sexuality, honestly. I mean, if you're asexual, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But abstaining is a moot point. At least no offense, but it's a moot point. I mean,
It's homophobic.
we are it's homophobic. Abstaining is homophobic. Look, I get it. If you can abstain, like I'm not going to take that out of the toolkit. I'm just saying it's not reasonable. I mean, when did any of us start jerking off? The minute we realized that touching our dick was pleasurable, that's when our sexuality took off.
For me, it was when I first saw Ricky Martin, but go on. Showing my
So if you
age.
can abstain, go for it. I shouldn't take it out of the toolkit. I'm just saying that, it's one of my last options is maybe what I would say. So for younger people, I would say find out what your tools are to keep yourself safe. Maybe that's medications, maybe that's practices, but I'm going to piggyback off Norm's point because I think Norm makes a great point. Follow your gut as it relates to who you're connecting with and how you see your risk factor as it relates to who you're connecting with. So if as an example, you're a young person and you're of age and you're in downtown Toronto and you're going to the bathhouse and you're taking multiple loads, this is terrible. You're taking multiple loads from multiple guys. Your risk factor is increased by a factor of 1,000.
Yes.
Like be reasonable about how you're approaching this. Make sure you are as sensible as possible with your health as it relates to sexuality. At least that's what I would advise on that kind of thing. I'm being very graphic with the point about the bathhouse, but it doesn't really matter if it's a bathhouse. It doesn't matter how many sex partners you have. Just be sensible about taking care of your health as it relates to your sexual health. Whether it's through, if you're in Toronto, or if you're in Edmonton, or if you're wherever you are, there's a sexual health clinic in your neighborhood. Sometimes it's even a specific queer health clinic. In Toronto, there's a place called HQ. That's spelled HQ. And that's at College Street, College
Thank you
and
for
Bay.
giving the girls resources. Yes, go on.
And then that way you have agency over your sexual health in terms of your access to things, in terms of testing, that sort of stuff. But wherever you are, you do have the ability to take care of your sexual health independent of your own medical doctor. You have options. I would ask you to do a quick search on that to go see what's in your neighborhood. Maybe there's something else, in Whitby. Maybe there's something else in York region, with regard to Toronto or wherever you're listening. There are options out there, or even internationally speaking. Like look up in your local neighborhood where your sexual health clinics are and take that as a part of your accountability for your health. I'm done my rant now.
Unless you live in the US, then you're fucked because public health is being cut.
No.
Planned Parenthood.
Right.
What's that hard to say? Planned Parenthood.
Right.
Is gone.
It's defunded. But honestly, if you're in America, that's your fucking job to get Planned Parenthood back. That's your fucking job to fund it. That's your fucking job to make sure that you lobby your politicians to get money back for that. Because at the end of the day, that's about your health. That's also about your sister's health. That's also about your cousin's health as it relates to reproduction. So you may be fucked, but it's also your goddamn job to get that back because you're owed that as you are a citizen of the US and you are paying for things, including yourself.
That's
not to be an advocate.
That's your tax money at work.
Honey, it can go towards funding a military war in the Ukraine, or it can go towards funding your goddamn healthcare. You choose.
So you don't get HIV. Or if you're heterosexual, so you don't get AIDS.
Yeah,
because we know how
we
know how you guys like to coin. You just bypass HIV, AIDS. We all know how you are. Well, we're gonna close out for today, and thank you for that. Giving the girls resources. Cole, that was important. That's something I usually do when I have heavy topics like this.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, it wasn't on my notes. It bypassed my brain today. So I'm really happy that you did that. Thank you. Thank you. So to close out, I want to play a quick game I call Rapid Fire. It's just, you can give me, I prefer like a one-word answer.
Okay.
You don't have to, but I would much prefer a one-word answer. I'm just going to ask you 6 questions. You go first, Colson. You go second, Norm.
Okay.
And you just give me your response.
Okay, go.
So, 1. Pick one. Dionne Warwick or Donna Summer?
Donna Summer.
Yeah. Donna Summer.
Yeah.
Best cruising spot: back alley, park, bathhouse, or beach? Go.
Beach.
Park.
Wow.
Well,
Once
it was in the 80s.
one safe sex myth that you heard that was told to you by an adult that was totally ridiculous.
I cannot think of one. I honestly cannot think of one. I can't. No.
No?
I can't think of one. No.
What about you?
That was told to me by an adult.
That was ridiculous.
They didn't have any.
Oh, wow. See, at my age, we were told, like, to pull out.
I didn't discuss those things with adults.
And that didn't work. Ask my cousin, she'll tell you. She has a whole baby now. Okay. Finish this sentence. In the 80s, a date night meant... Go.
Closing the door after he left.
And don't forget your coat.
Gay anthem of the time: I Will Survive or Like a Prayer?
Oh, no, I'm choosing YMCA, honey.
Oh, why?
I'm going out of your Bush League.
Not
Madonna,
my Bush League.
Please. I love Madonna, don't get me wrong. Madge is fabulous, but girl, YMCA is the gay anthem.
I Will Survive.
It's Raining Men.
Oh, I'll take it. And that's 80s?
It's Raining Men is probably
Raining Men.
70s.
Same time. I'll loop them all around. Norm was alive.
YMCA is definitely 70s as well. So yeah.
Why do you think? Who do you think had the most iconic hair of the 80s?
Tina Turner.
I was thinking that when I was writing this too. Who do you think, Norm?
I don't know.
Madonna had the most amount of haircuts. She always changed her
Hair?
age a lot all the way through. She changed her hair a lot.
Tina certainly did. I didn't pay
Yeah.
attention to hair.
Yeah.
I was thinking either Tina Turner or Annie Lennox.
Oh. Or Sinead O'Connor. But never mind. Annie Lennox. Annie Lennox's red hair shocked the world because a woman having such short hair, shocking red hair, was so unusual for its time.
Oh yeah.
My money's on Tina, but with Annie Lennox, a very hard, quick second.
Well, iconic. Yeah, Tina's hair is iconic.
Yeah.
Only Tina Turner can sell her hair lightness as a part of her estate. They put out a wig. Did you see that last week? They put out a wig and they got recalled after the first day because there was backlash because people were saying that the wig didn't look anything like Tina Turner.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. But, a little bit of trivia for you.
I think Alphaba will be the wig of this generation. Because that is some hair. That is some hair.
Alphaba or Rihanna?
Who's Rihanna? I'm kidding.
No, you did not.
Yeah, no.
You did
all of her hair is
not.
under an umbrella, Ella. Who cares about her fucking hair? Alphaba's the hair for this generation.
I can't. Thank you both. I mean, Colston, you always are such a joy to have on the show.
Thank you.
And you have brought, in your own words, a dynamic point of view to today's episode.
The middle generation.
The in between.
Norm is good about words, but I like words.
Because you're a centenarian, right?
Demi-centenarian.
Demi-centenarian. Right. That's the word I was looking for.
Centenarian.
And you're a cesarean.
No, I was natural.
I see what you did there.
Oh, dear me.
Oh my God. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in for today's episode. If you made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's called @Daddy and Son Podcast. That is the @ symbol, Daddy and Son Podcast. Remember, we are now on iHeartRadio, so go download the free iHeartRadio app and support the show. If you have any questions for Norm, send them over to daddyandson@gmail.com. That's DADDYANDSON podcast@gmail.com. Until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
Daddies, send your questions to Alex and be kind to your sons.